Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sequoia Wednesday Night Training, Commercial Training. So, if this is the first time that you're on our platform, Sequoia Lending, we are a commercial lending platform. Our goal is to disrupt the commercial lending industry, meaning that, hey, we want to open up the door. For the longest time, a lot of our business owners do not know where to get the funding other than just go to the bank. In today's market, the bank is not lending like before. They're tightening up their underwriting guideline. They're tightening up their funding process, their fundings. So many clients that used to be able to get funding from the bank are no longer able to get the money that they need for their business. So they're looking for alternative fundings. Where can they find funding that they need? Through Sequoia platform. So on our platform, probably already know we provide many different products and services. Our goal is not to just provide funding to our client. Our goal is to actually help small businesses to excel through funding and also through many product and services that we provide on our platform. And as you can see, when you go to our website, you will see we have business service such as business credit. So many of the business do not know that how important set up credit is. Either it's a personal credit or business credit. So if they don't have any good credits, we can definitely help them out. But besides of that, we have many other services as well, such as wellness program, meaning that we are able to help small businesses to get free benefits from the government. No cost to the employer, no cost to the employee. They are already qualified as long as they have 3 full-time employees in their business. They're already qualified. It's just a matter of enrolling them into the program to get that free benefit from the government, right? But most importantly, we have other products and services that can help real estate owners to reduce their tax or to claim tax credit back. So approximately, I would say about 3 years ago, I was, at that time, we was about to start up Sequoia, and I was actually doing soul searching at that time to learn how can I build Sequoia to a better company. So I went to Scottsdale, attend a seminar, and in this particular seminar, I met this wonderful gentleman that has tremendous knowledge on tax cost segregation on a commercial property. So we start talking. We start, share our ideas and so on and so forth. So I talked to him. I said, wow, listen, I have this platform right here that funding small businesses, but many of our clients, at that time, most of our clients do own real estate properties, own commercial properties. So it's a perfect fit for your service to come onto our platform, and you can help our client also to save taxes. So this gentleman, we have been keep communicating for all these years, and we share ideas. I try to pick his brain, he tried to pick my brains, and we keep a very good relationship for a long time. And not until recently that I see how powerful what he's offering to us is. As a matter of fact, his product is already on our platform 3 years ago, ever since I started at Sequoia Lending. It's called the cost segregation, but we never really promote it. It's just because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know how powerful this type of concept is until recently. I went to him approximately 2 months ago. I talked to him. I said, Terry, I got a client that just purchased a hotel in New York, Flushing. It cost her about $26 million to purchase that hotel, and she's already in operation. She's looking for ways to save her tax, to save taxes on her business. And I think perfectly whatever you are doing can definitely help her out. So long story short, I introduced our client Vivian to Terry, and now Terry, it amazes me. I would say about 3 weeks ago, Terry came back with a proposal to me. And when I looked at that proposal, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe my eyes. He's able to help our clients save $11 on taxes. No, it's not $11. Okay, save $11 is no, it's no incentive. He helped our client save $11 million.
There you go.
I say that one more time. $11 million in taxes. And I say, geez, I have no idea things like this. And my client is so happy, and she couldn't even believe that she can have that kind of saving. So now she's talking, well, not talking to me every day, but she's talking to me right now on a regular basis, saying that, hey, Alan, can you help me to do this? Can you help me to do that? Oh, I belongs to a hotel, or I belongs to a hotel association where we have a lot of hotel owners. Can I be part of this? Can I introduce my friends to you? Absolutely. So I thought that, hey, right now probably is the right time for us to rekindle this particular program right here, even though it has been sitting in uh our platform for the last 3 years, but we just never really tap into it. And today I want to introduce Terry again to come back onto our platform to share with us what this program really is, what is the inside and out of it, and how we can benefit out of it. How can we actually, put that into a package? And Mo, we are talking about that premium package that when our business owner that has a commercial property, not only that we provide them the funding, we provide them the wellness program for all the employees that they have, but now we can offer cost segregation for our client as well. So without further ado, Terry, my brother, my good friend, my business partner, the floor is yours. So good to see you on our platform again, Terry.
Damn, Alan, that's awesome. You got me all fired up. I can't believe it's 3 years since we met. That
Three
blows
years.
my mind.
Yep.
Wow. And look at you, man. You've come a long way already with this platform. So proud of you. So let me share my screen, and let me just pull up the slides real quick. This always scares me. So hold on. Here we go. Everybody see that? Oh,
Yes.
all right. Let me back up here. So guys, so what I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share some information. We're not going to go too technical. We will open it up for Q&A. Just put your questions in the chat, and then Alan can read them, and then I'll answer them. We can also have follow-up conversations if you've got clients, that own commercial real estate. So I just want to preface that any commercial property out there in the United States qualifies for this particular strategy. Okay. It's a tax strategy. It's been in the tax code for a long time, since 1969. It's gone through multiple evolutions. It was removed from the tax code at one point back in 1986 when they did the tax reform overhaul. Came back in the tax code back in the early 90s. Nobody knew it existed. And there was lawsuits, and the U.S. tax court, or the IRS lost a couple major cases. As a matter of fact, Walmart actually was one of the leading companies that sued IRS, and the IRS lost in U.S. tax court. And it came back in the 90s, and it's just been going ever since. But it's been kind of this, the IRS does a horrible job at letting people know this exists. We all know that. And CPAs don't do this really in-house as a service, right? And I'll kind of get into why they don't do it. But it is a tax strategy, but CPAs really just outsource it to a company like mine. And again, we're nationwide. We've been around for over 18 years. We just crossed over $2.5 billion in tax in overall savings, zero disallowances from the IRS. That just means that your clients are in good hands when they sign up with Core. That's the name of our company, Core Advisors. And like Alan said, this has been on your platform, Alan. I'm gonna call you out here for 3 years.
Yes, sir.
3 years. We haven't been able to really get any traction because, again, like Alan said, what you don't know, you don't know. So now tonight, you are going to know. And this could be a leading service. It's a phenomenal door opener for all your other services. And it's also a wonderful complementary offering to your commercial lending. It really goes hand in hand. If you have a relationship, and that's what Alan and I were all about, relationships, you guys are building teams, you're out there networking, you're looking for innovation, you're looking for something unique. Alan's always on the cutting edge. Him and I are always talking about services, products. You're in great hands with Alan, and his mind is always looking for complementary value add strategies. We have to be different. We have to be unique out there because let's be honest, let's face it, the market is just saturated with so much crap. and your customers, my customers, they get pitched on stuff, day in, day out. So when you come with something that can put millions of dollars back in their pocket, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars back in their pocket, you're going to get their attention. So, all right, so let's just jump into this. You know, Obviously we're beyond COVID. These slides are, but more importantly, it's more important today because we've moved into this inflationary world where our dollar is eroding. And so you got to bring out different strategies for people. And at the end of the day, cash is always king. People always say, cash is trash. Not when you need to go get stuff and you need to like put more money in your pocket versus sending it to the IRS. So, um, again, so just in 23, we've saved our clients over $100 million. And so we always say riches are in the niches. This is a hidden treasure for commercial and residential property investors nationwide. Again, any real estate investment property, the only thing that doesn't qualify is your home, your personal primary residence. If you have an Airbnb, you have a rental property, you have a duplex, a triplex, you have a multifamily property, you have an industrial type building, office, storage, mobile parks. If you have, people in your community that own these real estate investments, you can approach them with this particular service. The IRS, they do offer billions of dollars for individuals. I mean, for individuals that are running companies, doing real estate, developing, going solar, going green. They have all these financial incentives, but they just don't make it easy to get access to. So we, as a company, have dedicated basically our careers to finding this money. And that's what we're really good at. Innovative tax strategies is what we're all about. Obviously, the goal is to reduce or eliminate someone's tax burden. This also works with somebody coming out of a property. We all heard of capital gains, right? When you sell something, you have capital gains. Well, when someone sells a real estate property, they might make $1 million on that transaction because they bought it at $1 million, they sold it for $2 million. Well, guess what? They have to pay capital gains tax on the additional $1 million that they made. This particular strategy is designed to offset or reduce or eliminate that capital gains tax. Okay. So I already talked a little bit about who we are, so I can kind of skip this. Cost segregation, and you guys can Google this. You can go to my website. I have plenty of information to get you, but it is by far the most powerful tax strategy for real estate investors in the United States, bar none. I mean, 1031 exchanges, you've heard of that. That's another strategy. Matter of fact, this goes hand in glove with a 1031 exchange. We don't need to go too deep into that, but just understand that sometimes 1031 exchanges do not work for a particular client because there's timing involved. And if you can't close a property, like you sold one, you want to get into another one, there's something called a 1031 exchange where you roll you roll the tax burden into the next property, and there could be some tax strategies as well. But if you add cost seg, it's just adding fuel to the fire. It just takes the benefit to a whole nother level. So what does the IRS say about this particular strategy? Because sometimes when you roll something out, you want to make sure that you're representing a service that truly is legitimate. So there's a lot of crap out there, as we all probably have experienced because we're all entrepreneurs. But the U.S. Treasury Department basically states that this is a strategy that should be considered in almost every real estate transaction. And this is just all it really is in the kind of the layman sense of the word. Cost segregation has a funky name. I don't get why they call it cost segregation. It's kind of weird, but it is what it is. And it is a legal way to maximize depreciation deductions by accelerating depreciation out of a property. Okay, so a commercial property, if you guys are taking notes, you might want to jot this down. So a commercial property depreciates over a 39-year life. So if you buy a building, that building is going to depreciate over 39 years. Everything in that property all the interior, all the guts, the mechanical systems, landscape, all the stuff, electrical, is going to depreciate over 39 years. Now, for multifamily, it's 27 and a half years. Just want to throw that out there. But for any other commercial real estate, it's 39 years. The concept behind cost segregation is that we're able to write that property off in typically 1 to 5 years, as opposed to waiting 27 or 39 years. So think about that. We're able to front load all this depreciation in today's dollars, okay, creating time value of money. That is music to an investor's ears when you can basically get more money in their pocket today versus waiting. So why would you let the IRS hold on to your money for 39 years when they can have it in their pocket today? Okay, by hiring a company like Core, we go in, we do a forensic study on the property. Think of it as an appraisal on steroids. Think of it, like a property appraisal. When you go buy a property, you have to get an appraisal done by the bank. Um, this is something that you pretty much at this stage of the game, you pretty much have to get a cost segregation study done once the property changes hands and goes into service and the next guy buys it, or somebody develops and builds a property. It works the same way. I'll get into some of this other stuff here in a minute, but just to give you just to break it down, what is cost segregation? It is a strategy. It is an approved IRS tax method that allows a commercial property, to be written off in typically 1 to 5 years. Okay, as opposed to waiting the normal, what we call the straight line method. That is the accounting method that every CPA, every accountant in North America uses. That's how they run their books when their client owns a commercial property. It's called the straight line method. And that straight line method is going to basically, it's going to depreciate over that long um, time frame. So that's just straight line is one. That's the main method in the U.S. tax code, and then in comes cost segregation. Again, it's been in the tax code for a long time, since really the late '60s, and it's gone through many flavors. It's always been enhanced. It has survived any administration. Okay, even Biden. It almost went. He almost put the kibosh on cost segregation. And thank God there was a lot of rich Democrats that pushed back, and that they own real estate, and they didn't want this to go away. So it kind of came back into legislation. And I was that was a scary time for us, because we would have been out of business. And once, but it's not the case. Okay. It is a very important part it's a driver of the economy. And the IRS still has to, they promote where they want action, right? So they want people like us buying buildings, investing in real estate, putting up apartment buildings. There's a home shortage. People, there's just not enough houses. There's not enough apartment buildings, so they basically incentivize entrepreneurs to take action, and they can use this tool to basically write off their properties in 1 to 5 years. Now, what happens to that depreciation? Okay, and think of it as a deduction, right? We're all small business owners. It's just like you write off your phone, your car, your utilities, your staples, your printer. You have write-offs. It's the same concept in commercial real estate. You just have a lot of write-offs when you buy a building. You can write it off. You can use that depreciation to offset income, and that's really where it gets exciting for an owner of a property. We're able to help them create this depreciation, and I'll keep saying depreciation just because it's just part of the conversation over and over again. But the depreciation can turn into real money, because we're using it to offset income tax that somebody might be making from the property, from the rental income. Okay, so most people are paying almost 40% income tax on even rental income is ordinary income tax. People that are running businesses and making money, you're paying ordinary income tax. That's almost 40% in our country right now. It's a big line item for somebody that's really trying to scale. So what we do is we mitigate that 40%, man. We get it down to some cases zero. We set up and this also this depreciation that I keep talking about, okay, that we're front loading in today's dollars. We can use that for 20 years. It has a carry forward for 20 years, and it can be applied in many different ways. It can roll up to a company as a company owner. Now, there's certain things that we have to consider. I'm not a CPA by training, although I have a CPA on my staff, and we deal with tax conversations and CPAs on the daily. Okay, so and every case we handle kind of as a even though this sounds like it's a blanket, it kind of fits over every single property out there. There's always caveats. There's different investors. There's partnerships. There's syndications. You might be learning more about this as you're doing commercial lending. You're talking to owners. They have different needs. There's different timings. They might want to hold it for a certain period of time. They want to get out of the property. So we handle all that at our office. I have an engineering team. I have tax people, and I have legal people on my staff that we can help navigate. We do 99% of the work. All you guys got to do is have a little bit of understanding about how this works, that's what hopefully we're going to accomplish this tonight on this call. And then you just bring it in through your platform. Alan and I have already built internal pages where the leads will come in, and it'll come directly to us. And there's some once that happens, that's when the magic starts happening. I'll get into the process in a few more slides of kind of how we handle that lead and what are the next steps. Okay. So let me keep going here. Now this is kind of cool, this slide. Think about this. 80% right now, still today, this day, because there's so many new people getting into real estate. And there's a lot of old people, old school people that have been, not old people, but people that have been around the game. And it blows my mind on how few people have actually heard about this or truly understand it. And it's because their CPA doesn't promote this. This is an afterthought. They don't know how to promote this. They don't want to take on audit risk, and they don't totally understand it. Now, a lot of CPAs are up and coming, like some of the new generation CPAs. They're more savvy. They're looking for a company like Core to partner with and work with. And so a CPA, by the way, could become a partner of yours in your network, right? And that CPA firm now could use our services where you guys are getting paid on all the deals. And if we bring in partners, I think that's all attached to you guys as we go. So again, it's a really cool relationship building opportunity. It opens up doors. It's something a little more unique to the conversation. It's in the ROI when people hire us and pay us our fee. The benefit that we bring is massive. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars typically, and into the millions. And we're working on and I'm glad Alan brought this up. We're working on a hotel owner that Alan brought to us, and we're in the process. We just onboarded them, and we're going to save them over $11 million. And again, that can be spread out over the next 20 years if the person can't use all of it out of the gate. And that gets spread out amongst the owners of that building. She's probably got investors, and the investors actually get their prorated share of the depreciation based on their ownership. Okay, so I already talked about this. CPAs, typically don't offer this service in-house. This leads to a pretty massive opportunity. Again, you can talk to CPAs about this. You have to be highly specialized in the area of tax, legal, and engineering, which I've already talked about, and the IRS doesn't promote it. Now, let's take a little deeper look into this. If you guys want to jot this down, this is kind of how it works from a legal and tax perspective. If you don't, it's not a big deal. But Section 1250 is when someone buys a property. That's usually what we call it's the as built. It's the entire property. It sits in Section 1250, and it's going to depreciate over the long term. Okay, why this is legal, and I think this is important to mention, is that we converted into what we call Section 1245 property. And this will make you sound really, really smart when you're talking to prospects about this, because a lot of people are going to be like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that. So when we actually start breaking down the property, like in buildings that themselves, you know, a lot of the components of a building are going to wear out way before 40 years. I mean, think about that. There's things that are going to be wore out in that's going to be need to be replaced. Anyways, we break that everything. We convert the building into what's called Section 1245 property. It becomes personal property, not at the county or level, but at a federal level, and therefore we're now allowed to then start to dissect the building and start categorizing the building into shorter lives. And I'll get into what that looks like, you know, under this kind of this new 1245 property. And I don't want to get too deep, but bear with me here. I'm trying to make tax sexy, so just because it can get a little dry. I understand. So what are we doing here? So my engineers are going to go to a building. Let's say you guys bring in a building. It's a $5 million, you know, commercial property. I don't care if it's multifamily or commercial property. It doesn't really matter. What my engineers are going to do is there's two categories that drive cost segregation. There's what's called the interior build out. Okay. What's the interior look like of a property, right? And then you've got land improvements, which is the exterior. Well, all that stuff now, interior, exterior, can literally be written off in a much shorter life. And when we do this, it can make up like a big portion, usually about 30-35% of the purchase price, that we're able to just basically write it off in year one. Okay. So that's pretty incredible just in itself. And this is what components can be accelerated under Section 1245. This is where we get into, you know, the interior build out again. I already mentioned that: electrical, wiring, um, plumbing, fixtures, parking lots, drainage systems, landscape, swimming pools, curbs, retaining walls, you know, all the electrical outside. It goes on and on and on, like just your electrical jacks inside the building, the wiring behind the walls that support that electrical jack can all be written off. Non-load bearing walls, drop ceilings, all these things. There's hundreds of more components. I don't want to bore you to death, but are able to be written off over 1 to 5 years. And that's pretty awesome. So I already touched on this slide. This is a little bit of the history of cost segregation and how it came back in the actually early 2000s, and under this major lawsuit that the IRS lost in tax courts. There's also, let me back up. There's also 300 court cases and memorandums that drive cost segregation. So as an engineering firm, we're we're kind of like a specialty tax and engineering firm. We really have to know what we're doing. I mean, we read the law, we read the tax law, we stay up on the changes, and we have to. And that's what really. And when we do our study, we build in all of the tax laws that support cost segregation, and therefore, when we're done, there's an 80 to 100-page report that becomes the audit defense. Okay, so we're writing a report that's going to back our work, and therefore we've had zero disallowances. You don't want to mess with the IRS, but you want to do it right, and we follow it to the T. But we can be super aggressive when we go into a property and start breaking it down, because at the end of the day, we're just trying to drive as much accelerated depreciation out of that property as we possibly can. Because again, the accelerated depreciation turns into real dollars, real savings in someone's pocket, and we're deferring or mitigating that 40% tax bracket that a lot of high net worth individuals are at, and they're always trying to figure out ways to not avoid, but to reduce their tax spend, and they don't want to send it to the IRS if they don't have to. And in this case, they don't have to. They can keep it in their own pocket and grow their empire. And that's what's so cool about this. I do want to mention something here. I don't want to get too technical, but when Trump was in office, he actually added something really cool to cost segregation. As you know, he has a lot of properties. Whether you hate him or love him, he's a pretty savvy business guy. So when he became president, he added something called bonus depreciation, and that just kicks it up a whole nother level, where you're getting more benefit in the early life of the property. And we're starting to scale down, but there's a provision in the tax code that they might want to They're going to retroactive it back to 100% bonus. All that means is it's great news. It's already been approved in Congress. We're just waiting for the final um, announcement where we'll be back to 100% bonus depreciation. And again, I don't need to go too much deeper into this. Just as you start kind of prospecting and you start bringing in some leads, and again, almost every commercial property in the United States literally qualifies for this service. Just think about how massive that is. You'll get trained and you'll understand the lingo as we continue to help you and onboard clients, and you can ask questions, and you can even be on some of the discovery calls that we'll put on. Okay, so let me just jump ahead a little bit. So here. So this is an apartment building that was purchased for $1 million. Now we do have to back out a little bit for land, and again, there's land doesn't depreciate, but we do back out usually about 15% for land. But under the straight line method that I keep talking about, the tax deduction without us, without cost segregation, the normal straight line method, this particular client would have only gotten $23,000 as a tax deduction for owning that property. $1 million property gets a $23,000 benefit, and then if we applied cost segregation, that tax savings now goes to $255,000 in their pocket. So it's a huge jump just by bringing in, an expert like us to handle that. So this slide just kind of shows you the blue line. It's kind of shows you the depreciation that would depreciate over the next 30 years without cost segregation. CSS is cost segregation studies, and then the pink line you see kind of how it kind of compresses or front loads the depreciation in the early life. That's just a graph. You can kind of see it. Now here's this slide. I hopefully it hits home out of anything else I'm sharing here tonight. But for every $1 million in acquisition, okay, or construction cost, and you guys are doing lending, so you have some inside information when you're getting, helping your clients get a loan or get lending. You have you have some insight of what's happening. So in this case, this scenario here, for every $1 million in acquisition or construction costs, a cost segregation study is typically going to generate about $300,000 in tax savings. Okay, so if it's $2 million in purchase price, that your tax savings is going to be about 600 grand, and you can just kind of do the math from there. So this is not chump change. This is big dollars. People want to hear about this, and timing is really, really, really good because the industry is taking a kind of a hit. Interest rates are up. People have a hard time when that loan starts coming due. Maybe they can't get out of it, and they're going to have to sell that, offload that property because they got upside down. And there's a lot of things that I'm sure Alan teaches you guys around commercial lending. But this falls really, really nicely with those conversations. Okay, so what qualifies? Any purchase price over 300 grand for so think about that. That's usually like a single family rental property. Could typically qualify for a cost segregation study. Now we don't like to do one single family rental long-term property. It doesn't really move the needle for us as a company, but if you have somebody that, let's say, has 10 residential investment properties, right? Bring those to us. If they have 5, bring those to us. We don't typically like to do one, or like a one-off just because of the cost, and versus benefit. But we will take a look at just about anything, and we'll just tell you, this one's too small. But for the most part, 500 grand is usually the sweet spot. We do a lot of short-term rentals, Airbnb properties. Some of these people are spending, 700, 800, 1.5 million on these houses, and that generates a pretty sizable benefit for them. So it's pretty awesome. New construction, anything being developed is once it goes into service, cost segregation is phenomenal. Okay, we want to set those depreciation schedules in a rapid kind of state. and we want to convert that 1250 property into 1245 property ASAP. Therefore, that's when the benefit kicks in, and they can, then they're going to get the tax benefit the right way. Major renovations, repurposing of buildings. Keep in mind, those renovation costs all qualify for cost segregation studies. I already mentioned short-term rental investment properties as well. This slide just kind of shows you what's available, right? So just kind of, this is like a memory jogger. If you know people that own any of these real estate properties, start thinking about your doctor, your dentist. Do they own the buildings? Manufacturing, commercial, office, retail, obviously apartments, industrial, restaurants, hospitality. Hotels are phenomenal. We're talking about hotels, banquet halls, senior living facilities, funeral homes, bowling alleys, golf courses, movie theaters, car dealerships. You guys get the gist. This screen is just showing some case studies. This high-end office building on the top left, tax savings was $666,905, and it goes on and on and on. We have tons of these. We've done thousands of studies now, and so we've built a real strong sense of credibility in the marketplace as far as who we are. We work with some of the largest commercial real estate firms, brokerages, and we also work with some of the top CPA firms in the country. They rely on us to do this correctly for their clients. So the other thing is really cool. I want to share about look back studies. So, there's always timing. When does this work? When does it not work? Well, one of the things that works is that the IRS lets us go back to 1987, and we can go back in time if somebody did not do a cost seg study, but they've owned the property. Now we don't go back 20 years anymore because that's just we will go back about 10 years. We'll go back about 10 years. We will redo their depreciation. Okay. We'll pick up all the missed depreciation. We get to carry it forward into the current tax year. We file what's called a 481. It's a change in accounting. You don't have to worry about that, but we do it internally. And it is the mechanism, and CPAs don't do this particular this accounting adjustment, right? They just don't know how to do it. We will do that for them. We do charge a little extra for that because it does take time. But what it does is it allows the IRS will allow a one-time automatic consent where they don't have to amend returns. We can go back 10 years. We don't have to amend any tax returns. It's a one-time automatic consent. That depreciation then that we calculate and figure out will carry forward to the open tax year. So let's say people are still filing for 23. A lot of people have filed extensions. We're still working on a lot of our clients for 2023 tax year. Okay. And if we did a look back study for somebody, let's say they bought a property back in 2000, well, they may have no idea that they've got 500 grand trapped in their building because they've been basically depreciating their building incorrectly. And by the way, the IRS now looks at what we do and how we kind of set up the depreciation schedules the correct way. Cost segregation is now not looked at the IRS as an aggressive, audit risk type situation. They really look at it as the more appropriate way to write off a commercial property, which is crazy, but they do, and it's awesome. And so understand that we can go back in time, file a change in accounting, no amended returns, and we can find typically hundreds of thousands of dollars. We can carry it forward, and they can use that now, and then that has a 20-year carry forward as well. So there's a lot of cool things and components. Now, this is the secret sauce right here. We have built out an estimating tool, and we can dump in basic information on the property, and we can create a complementary benefit analysis that will pinpoint the tax savings for our clients before we even get hired, right? So it's a phenomenal way to open up a door, because you're going to be able to do something for somebody without asking for really anything for money per se up front, and you can show them pinpoint, because this is so accurate. We've built it. We've put a lot of data in this. it'll spit out a near term and long term kind of cash projection on tax savings. It'll actually show them what their tax savings would look like in the current tax year. And again, we just put it. We all we're looking for is the type of building. So what kind of property is it? Purchase price, the purchase date, or the date it was the date of occupancy. That's for new construction when the doors are basically open, when that building is now ready to be rented. It's called date of occupancy. Um, and then the basic renovation costs. I don't need tax returns. I don't need appraisal. I don't need bank statements. I don't need anything until we get hired. This is the first step that once we are able to produce this study or this benefit analysis, our closing ratios are in the 80 percentile. Okay. So it's a pretty powerful tool that we'll send out on your behalf. And your client can say, oh my God, look, I'm going to save, what do you mean? I'm going to save 400 grand. And we're going to be like, yes, yes, you are. Okay. So, step one, we always like to do a discovery call. So if you have somebody that's interested, get them on the phone with us. We will walk them through we'll walk them through the strategy. And then once we'll put together the benefit analysis, we'll go over it. Then they say, we want to move forward. We'll put together a proposal or engagement letter. And then right from there, after that, we'll do a kickoff call. We'll set up the site visit. My engineer will fly out to the property. So our engineers physically will visit the site, and they will do an on-site inspection. And that's the best way to do this. And so that's very powerful. Then we produce an executive summary. We're usually done in about 30 to 45 days, start to finish. And then we'll finalize the report. We send this out to the CPA, and then we'll have we'll finish up the final engineering report, send it out to everybody. We'll have a wrap-up call where we actually go over the numbers with the CPA, with the client that they want to be on, and we pretty much wrap up. So I'm not going to get into this slide. It's talking about recapture. Gets a little technical, but let me just skip through here. And guys and gals, so that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about tonight. I don't want to go too much deeper, but through our premium cost segregation services, we always find other opportunities. That's why we're always on a hunt to look for upsells. We're always looking for adding value. There's other things that we will bundle into our cost segregation reports. Once we identify that there's a need, my engineers are trained where they'll be like, oh wow, this qualifies for an energy tax credit. And they'll as we all know, our country is trying to become greener, and the IRS is pumping tax incentives, tax credits for commercial property owners. I'm sure we're going to see more and more coming, but there's other opportunities out there that we can help navigate and help the client leverage those, and then you guys get paid on the upsell as well. So that's a beautiful thing. You don't need to worry about what each of these do and what the functions are. Cost segregation will be the leading program that opens up the doors to add these other ancillary opportunities into our engagements. Okay, but some of these are very, very powerful, especially when we start getting into. Matter of fact, Alan, we're going to be talking to Vivian about a couple things on this page here. One of them is called a land allocation study, and it increases more depreciation by reducing what we would book as the land. We want less in land, more in real estate, and then that's a good thing. So I don't want to go too far to that. But the moral of the story is you need a partner that can help you. That is us. And why don't we get into some questions now, Alan, if you want to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We do have questions right here. Two questions right here. Number one, do you think cost segregation is only primary necessary needed through a CapEx viewpoint?
It has nothing to do with CapEx. It has everything to do with the purchase price, the income of the investors, and what their tax burden looks like now and into the future. So we would then kind of talk to them, but again, it has nothing to do with cap rates, interest rates, what the property's worth, what it's not worth. Is it up? Is it down? It has nothing to do with that. So it's really just you get this accelerated depreciation that you can use it against income, and you can use it against income coming from other areas. It doesn't have to be just one for one. It doesn't have to necessarily be just this property. It can be used for a lot of different ways. You can use it for other things to offset income and income tax through businesses and through other real estate investment properties.
Okay, great. Second question, can you file a tax segregation for that year if you have an existing rehab being done?
So I want to make sure I understand the question. Can you do a cost seg study on a building that's going through renovations? Is that, maybe say it again?
Well, the question is this, can you file for tax segregation for that year if you have an existing rehab being done?
Yes, yes, you can. We would look at the entire purchase of the building, and then we'd also look at what was removed from the property, and we'd also look at what's going back into the building as far as new finishes and remodel.
Okay, great. This is a good question. Can you go back even if you sold the property within the past 10 years?
Yes, that's what I was talking about. We do a look back study. That's exactly what I was talking about on the look back study. We go back 10 years, and we will do that cost segregation on that property without amending tax returns.
So are you saying that they right now they don't own the property, they sold the property 2 years ago and you
Oh, no,
still
no, no. If they release the property, they don't own it anymore. They lost that opportunity.
got it? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because understand, the next owner gets to start all over, and they would then be able to do cost seg from the beginning.
Got it. So well, that's my questions. Let's say like Vivian, okay, she did the cost segregation. What would happen if she sells the property?
So if okay, so that's a great question. So if we our recommendation is you want to hold the property 3 to 5 years, okay, to really get this arbitrage of tax savings. Because if you're just going to flip it under 12 months, we don't recommend it, because there's something called recapture. There's going to be an adjustment, and the IRS is going to want some of that money back. That you'd have to pay taxes back on top of that. So there's a strategy. As long as it's 3 to 5 years, it makes a lot of sense, and you are so in the plus. Okay, if you're going to hold it even longer than that, it even gets better and better and better the longer you hold the property. And there's something called recapture. Again, it gets a little technical because there's multiple layers of recapture, and that's really you start getting into some accounting, and
Mhm.
we don't need to get into that tonight. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with tax lingo.
Absolutely. So those are great questions that you have on the screen. So can you let us know what's the cost? Things like that.
So to get a cost done, like again, Alan and I talk about this. We're providing so much value. It's really whatever the market will demand, offer or demand. Like it's gotten a little more competitive. Some of these where we really make our money is when we find somebody that has multiple properties, and like I said, we're working on one right now. A guy has 185 residential single family homes. His benefit will be in the millions of dollars. We're going to get paid on every single home. That could probably be that'll be a six-figure fee, no question. And so if we do people that own multifamily properties, they usually own more than one. So that's really where we make the bread and the butter. But just one-offs. Guy has, like, let's say, $1 million property. We may charge 5, 6, 7,000 bucks. Typically, is an average type price. It could go up depending on what we're doing. It all depends on the size, the location, renovations. Are we doing a look back study? What else can they qualify for? So the pricing, we don't have it's all custom, and we will price the jobs out on your behalf. And trust me, we'll try to get, working with Alan, and we're all, we're always going to be looking out. What can we sell this engagement for without, having egg on our face because they shopped us and realized that we were double than what the guy next, somebody else would be willing to charge. So I've been in the game for a long, long time. I know all our, our competitors. I know which ones are shit. Trust me, there's a lot of kind of shady, shitty type companies that are kind of running around doing this. They should not be. And then there's some really good, legit companies that do it right, and they charge a premium for it. We charge a premium. We're not the cheapest in town. We never want to be the cheapest, but we're definitely not the most expensive, and we're kind of right in that sweet spot middle. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So that's another question. What if you own the property for 8 years and then
Okay.
sold it a year or two after you file?
So if you own the property back for 2 years, or you've owned the property for 8 years, and we did the cost seg, right? And you sold it 2 years later. So now there's strategy on when you sell the property. So we can cost seg the next property that you go into and use that depreciation to offset the capital gains that you just made on the property that you just sold. There's also something called 1031 exchange that you can roll capital gains into a 1031 exchange. Then we also do the cost seg together, and it's an amazing tax deferral strategy. So there's many different ways to skin the cat. It's just everything is, there's always a little bit unique. There's always uniqueness to when we talk to an owner of a building. That's what everyone's got different situations, and we most of the time can resolve most of their situations. Not all of them, but most of them.
Another question, when do the client need to pay you?
So we take 50% of the fee up front and as a retainer, and then we take 50% when we're done.
Okay, great, wonderful.
Yep.
Hey, what is that fee? How's it work?
What do you guys get paid?
You know, what is your fee? How do you charge? What is it based on?
Yeah. It's based on the type of building, how big the building is. Is it multifamily? Is it industrial? Is it 100,000 square feet or is it 2,000 square feet? So every job we'll look at it and quote it as we go, because there's not a one size fits all. That's when people always ask me, how much do you charge? I have no clue until I take a look at, then it gets them more motivated to get onboarded, do the discovery call, create their I always say, listen, don't worry about fee right now. I'm going to offer you a free benefit analysis. I'm going to pinpoint the savings. If everything looks good, the fee is a non-issue. I mean, if I'm saving somebody 100 grand and I'm charging 5, they're not getting that in the stock market. I mean, we're going to show them a massive ROI on the value versus fee.
Can you give us an idea though? I mean, just
Let me share. Terry, do you mind if I share Vivian's deal?
Not at all.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. My client, Vivian, owns a hotel in Flushing, New York. Terry saved her $11 million. So if you were the hotel owner, let me ask you this. How much are you willing to pay to save $11 million? Anybody? Type into the chat box. I think I need some interaction right here. I don't want to just be we are the one that talking. So how much are you willing to pay? Well, give me a number.
I don't know, Alan. What, $10,000?
Okay, 10,000.
I don't know. How does it work? I mean, is it based on percentage of that savings?
No, it's a fixed fee on the. We're not allowed technically to charge a contingency because it's a tax deduction. Everyone's at their own different tax rate, so it's hard to. The industry never really took off as a contingent. I wish it did. Trust me. So there's opportunities that we could, but it's a little tricky on what you attach it to. But we charge a fixed fee based on the scope of the job, how long it's going to take us.
So let me jump in, right? So here in our world, if I did a loan, $11 million loan for my client, I normally charge 1 point. 1 point on the $11 million, it was what, $110,000. But you know what? When I look at the fee, I was shocked. Really? You charging that much, Terry? He's charging $15,000.
Okay.
$15,000 on an $11 million saving. The lady just like, are you sure? Yeah, we are sure. $15,000. Okay. So just want to give you an idea how much.
And when would they realize it? When is it really seeing the savings? Is that in a form of how do they retrieve the savings? Is it a form of cash? Is it a form of
Yeah, no, great question. No, it's a form of Really, it kind of comes down to the depreciation that we're going to accelerate. That depreciation number will go into their tax returns, and that's either going to trigger a refund or it's going to trigger an adjusted their adjusted gross income is going to be down, or it's going to create a kind of like a think of it as like a open checkbook against Uncle Sam, because as income comes in through, let's say they're renting the building out to a tenant, that tenant is paying, 5, 6, 10, 20,000 a month, right? So let's say they think that building is generating a couple, 250 grand. Well, the owner of that property's got to pay ordinary income tax. So that's where we shine. That's what we mitigate. We take that tax rate that they normally would have had to pay in that 250 and make it go to zero.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right. Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Tim, well, thank you so much, Terry. Your amazing explanation about this wonderful, wonderful product. Honestly, for me, it's a shocking moment for me when I see that proposal that you sent it to me. So, and I think, well, definitely we missed out a lot. But again, things happen for a purpose. Perhaps we, as the platform, we were not ready for the last 3 years to promote this, but now definitely we see the value of it. We promote this. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, that you are on this platform. We provide so many different products and services. And I encourage every one of you to at least pick one of our service, pick one of our product to go out there to market, to help our business owners, to let them know that what type of benefit that they can actually get, whether it's cost segregation or whether it's wellness program. How many of us is actually signing up businesses right now for free benefit? Nothing, it does not cost anything, right? So again, there's so much value there for you to come onto the Sequoia platform. Now, if this is the first time they are here, now obviously a lot of the things that Terry talked about, honestly, to me, it's a foreign language to me. I have no idea what he's talking about. But one thing I know is that Terry is good at what he does. Terry is good at what he does. What all I have to do is to plug my client onto his service through the Sequoia platform, and I'm all set. Honestly, when I sent Vivian, which is the owner of that hotel, to Terry, and his team took care of everything. And I saw emails from them to communicate with the client, to share with the client what kind of benefit it is. It's just the whole nine. I see everything. I don't have to even to, honestly, I never actually call my client ever since I submitted the clients to Terry and his team. Now, how do you do that? So let me show you this. So if you are on our platform, or if you are new to our platform, once you sign up to our Sequoia Lending as our consultant, every single one of us will have your own website. And I encourage you to get your own website. And I know some of the people out there are still using the corporate websites to submit scenario form, which is fine, absolutely no problem, but we do not know where the leads will come from. Okay, if you do not tell us that leads from you, then we will just take the commission. So when you have your own website like this, you will see something called a product page. You click on product page. Under business service, core segregation is the first one. Why is it first one? Is because this is the first.
Not seeing your screen, Alan. We're still looking at Core Advisor.
Okay, you see my screen right now?
No,
You're not seeing
no, it's still showing Core Advisor question and answer time.
Okay,
Here, I'll stop sharing.
Now it is.
Sorry, I
Well,
was sharing.
okay, hold on. So sorry about that. So again, now are you seeing my screen?
yes.
Okay, so great, wonderful. So now many of you already know this webpage already. I strongly encourage you to get familiarized with all these different products and services. And you look at the business service, the first one is called segregation. Why is it the first one? Because again, this is the first business service that we put onto our platform 3 years ago. And now you see it is right here. So all you have to do, just click on it. Now we give you explanation what cost segregation is all about. All you have to do just to click apply. Now, when you enter information or your client enter information right here, now the system capture this client in your from your webpage, meaning that, hey, now this client logged in your database. So it belongs to you. So now after they click fill out information like this, they will go to a project screen like this. So all they have to do just to fill out some basic information, boom, that's it. Your job is done. So for something like this, it's unlike a commercial lending loan that you have to follow up. There's nothing for you to follow up. Once you fill that out, Terry and his team of experts will come in and deal with your client. So again, this is another door opener for all of us. Tremendously value is added. Help our clients to save tremendous amount of money that I cannot even believe it can save that much money. So now once you open up the door for our clients, guess what? They will keep coming back to you, keep coming back to you, keep coming back to you. So that is the value of joining the Sequoia platform. Again, I said it many times. We are not here to just provide a loan here and there. We are here to disrupt this industry by providing the best service and the best product to our client. And I bet you many business owners or property owners don't even know things like this exist. Now you know. Do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Go out there, let your community know what you have. Even though you do not want to talk to them, send them the website. Let them watch the video. This is going to be recorded. It's going to be posted onto our YouTube video. Ask them to watch it. You don't even have to do any presentations. And most importantly, build your organization within Sequoia. There are so many real estate agents, loan officers, insurance agents. They are struggling right now. The market is not, the interest rate has gone up so much. A lot of loan officers are struggling. A lot of real estate agents are struggling. Perfect time for you to go out there to build up your commercial lending business. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for another episode of Sequoia Training. And thank you one more time, Terry. Very thank you so much. And again, we will be talking very soon. So until next time, thank you so much, everyone. Good night and see you next Wednesday.
Thanks, Alan.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.